Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that covers all things marketing. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast gives you the latest marketing news, from what major businesses have planned for the coming year to the newest trends in advertising, from podcasts, digital and streaming, to the old standbys of radio, television, and billboards. Whether you're a marketing agent or a business trying to expand your brand, you've come to the right place. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'd like to start today's episode by just letting you know I had to record it in my bathtub. It is week 3 of being quarantined in my apartment, and I love my roommate. I think he is a great guy, and we definitely get along, but it's a one-bedroom. Things are getting a little tight, so recording this straight from my bathtub. Tell me in the review down below some ways you have been having to cope with COVID-19. Obviously, there are a lot of really hard things people are having to cope with right now. Maybe they're infected with the disease, or maybe someone they love are infected with the disease, or maybe they're one of the amazing people who work in the healthcare industry and they have to go to work every day. But right now, I would love for you to write in the review just one annoying thing that has happened to you as you have had to self-quarantine and self-isolate yourself into your apartment. For me, it is definitely recording this inside of a bathtub. I can assure you that. But anyways, on today's episode, we are going to be talking about late night marketing. So we are talking about Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, James Corden, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and officially a little late with Lily Singh because she's the first female late night host ever, and that's sort of a really cool thing. So we definitely want to talk about her marketing as well as all of their marketing and really how they operate shows that have such a big platform and such a consistent branding that has been known and recognized for decades now. So what I really want to talk about is how they are able to keep their consistent branding, create funny skits to go online while still being their true selves and keeping up with the times. There is a lot to consider when we talk about late night marketing. I would love to encourage everyone right now, though, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to this podcast. Guys, think of the effort I'm going through here. I am recording this in a freaking bathtub. Can you please hit the purple button, show us some love, and let us know that you're enjoying the podcast? We would really, really appreciate it. All right, so let's jump right into today's episode by talking about what is new in the marketing world. Our first story is that Google is launching a COVID-19 search hub. It will make finding your information easier to new updates on the coronavirus 2019 updates. Google has launched, as promised, a coronavirus search hub that will make looking for legit information on the COVID-19 a bit less overwhelming. As all of us know right now, if you search COVID-19, if you search the coronavirus, if you search anything, you're going to be bombarded with so much information that it is going to seem overwhelming, and you are going to see so many different stories that contradict each other, and some are true, some aren't, and it's a lot of information to get. So what Google is really trying to do is create a search hub here that will give you the real information, will give you the most recent updates, and give you accurate details to what is going on in the world. So the hub will show up when you search coronavirus or COVID-19 on Google. Whether you are on mobile or desktop, it pulls information from the World Health Organization and links to local health authorities. It also organizes what you need to know in different categories. You'll see an overview of the disease along with categories that focus on symptoms, treatments, and preventative measures. It includes a carousel of Twitter accounts from your local civic organization and health authorities, as well as a section that highlights some of the most common questions about the disease. There's also a statistic category that shows numbers of confirmed cases of death and recoveries per country. The feature has started rolling out in the U.S., but Google says it plans to expand to reach to other countries and make it available in every language soon, as currently it is only available in English. What do you guys think of Google releasing this COVID-19 search hub? Do you think it is helpful, or do you actually just look at this as some sort of marketing technique? We talk about these news stories quite a bit on the podcast, but that's because it really does walk the line of, yes, this is helpful to their consumers, but it is also helpful to them as a company and as a business because they are establishing themselves as a help link, as a source of knowledge, as the one place you can turn to get the real facts on what is going on in the world. While everyone else is panicking, Google can say, hey, we're the safe place, we're the sound place, we're the steady platform you can stand on right now. So it is definitely a marketing tactic, but it is also something that is really going to help their consumers, their customers, and people who genuinely just need information on what is happening in the world. So I am all for this because it really is a win-win-win all around. But let me know what you think of this down below in the review or reach out through social media because, as always, I would just love to hear your thoughts. Our second news story is that YouTube will launch a dedicated COVID-19 news panel in 16 countries. So very similar to the Google story, but to help you get the most up-to-date information on the COVID-19 coronavirus situation, YouTube will be launching a dedicated news shelf in 16 different countries. YouTube said in a tweet, "We want everyone to have access to authoritative content during this trying time. So we're launching a COVID-19 news shelf on our homepage in 16 countries. We'll expand to more countries as well. The news COVID-19 news panel will appear on your YouTube homepage along with your other subscribed to videos and videos that might be related to things you like." This story is very similar to the Google one in the way of this is definitely a marketing ploy. I'm not going to pretend that it's not. I'm not going to tell you guys that, no, YouTube is just, they only care about the consumer. They're a company. They care about themselves too. No company doesn't care about themselves. And that's not me going after YouTube. That's not me going after Google. But it is just the fact that it is walking this very, very squiggly line of what is good marketing and what also helps our consumers. And honestly, in a time of the COVID-19 crisis, when again, so much information is out there, and the bigger problem is so much wrong information is out there. People are not being truthful. People are being panicked, and it is just getting way out of proportion in ways it doesn't need to. But people still need to be informed. People still need to have information, and people still want to learn as things are happening. They want to learn more about it. So having things like the Google search for the coronavirus and this YouTube panel is really going to help things kind of just get ironed out in the details so that people can get the information they are looking for when they actually need it. And guys, that is so incredibly important, especially right now during a crisis when nobody really knows what is going on. It's important that we can turn to these really big brands and say they know what is going on and they are actually willing to help us. Our third news story of today is that Starbucks says it is closing all of the U.S. company-operated cafes and is moving to drive-through and delivery services in response to the coronavirus pandemic. So some cafes located in and around hospitals and healthcare centers may remain open as a part of the Starbucks effort to serve first responders and healthcare workers who are on the front lines of battling this virus. According to the statement, though, workers who choose to stay at home will be paid for the next 30 days. This includes those who have been diagnosed or exposed to the COVID-19 disease, and those who may need to take extra precautions, such as those 60-year-olds or older who have been underlying health conditions or are worried about feeling unsafe coming to work. Another fantastic example of a company really stepping up to try to help their employees, mostly, and their customers, secondly. Both are extremely important because, let's face it, we all could have just said, we're not going to Starbucks, but guess what? Those workers would still have to get up every day. They would still have to go to the Starbucks every day. And if they're 60 and older, if they have underlying health conditions, if they've been affected, they then run the risk of affecting other people, especially at a Starbucks. So them closing it down, making it drive-through only, really is just a great way to keep everybody safe and, again, just to show how much they care as a company, and that's really going to help them out in the long run. I can definitely say that I look at Starbucks, YouTube, and Google totally different now because of this, and just knowing how they are trying to help people in this trying time, I'm definitely going to keep using Google. I'm definitely going to keep watching YouTube, and I am definitely going to keep drinking Starbucks, and this is just further proof of what great companies they truly are. Please let me know in the review down below what amazing act of kindness or generosity you have seen a big company or a small company do during the coronavirus pandemic. Write it in the review, tweet it to me over Twitter, write it in our Instagram, whatever you want to do. I would just really love to hear some stories from you guys. Okay, everyone, we are going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we will be talking about some stats and facts when it comes to late night marketing. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie, and I'll be right back.
Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie reporting live from her bathtub. Also, this isn't live, I am pre-recording it, but you get what I'm saying. It's pretty hilarious what the coronavirus has done to our everyday lives, and honestly, guys, I would love to hear from you how it has impacted your day-to-day life. Obviously, it is impacting people on a very large scale, and I don't want to downplay that. But tell me your small complaints. Tell me your little complaints, because I've got them too. I can honestly say, super annoying that I'm recording this in a bathtub, but we are getting it done. So let me know in the review down below. Reach out through social media how you are getting your stuff done, even though things are crazy right now and you might have distractions at home, you might have too many roommates at home, you might have too many kids at home. Let me know what your day-to-day issues have been, because I would just love to hear your stories. On tonight's episode, we are talking about late night marketing. So we are talking about Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, James Corden, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, and A Little Late with Lily Singh. The reason I keep saying her show title and not the rest really is just to emphasize how amazing it is that finally we have a female late night host on one of these major networks. And I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Lily Singh, considering she's also Canadian, so I definitely feel some love there, and I definitely do think it will be important to talk about her marketing along with these other very big shows that have been around for decades, even if they weren't hosted by Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel and the ones we currently know. The platforms have been around for decades, and they have really been a structure in the late night world. So what I want to talk about today is how they have been able to stay relevant for decades, and every week come up with a new show idea, a new guest idea, always have reoccurring bits, but stay relevant. There's just so much that goes into these late night shows and their marketing that I think even if you don't host a late night show or you're not like the head of NBC marketing, you can learn from their strategies, and you can really take some ideas with you for how you can maybe boost up your own marketing for your own company. So get your pen and paper out, because we're talking about some strategies for late night marketing on today's episode. But just to start, let's talk about some stats and facts when it comes to our favorite late night shows. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon has 7.2 million followers on Instagram and 4.1 million followers on Twitter. Now, that might not seem like a really big number. Again, we have done episodes on like the Kardashians and Disney and Netflix, and they have huge numbers when it comes to their followers, especially the Kardashians. But it is important to note that Jimmy Fallon has the highest number of followers out of all of the other late night shows, with the 7.2 million followers on Instagram. Now let's talk about their YouTube channel, because this is really one of the main ways that late night shows have been able to stay relevant over the past couple of decades, by moving their show not just being on every night, but also being available on the internet and being available on YouTube. And that's really important as well, because then when they start writing their marketing for their shows, they have to think of ideas that will work on air on the show for a live audience, and then what will also work as a YouTube clip. But Jimmy Fallon, again, has been just killing it in that world by having over 6,000 uploads since he started. One of the only YouTube channels with that many uploads. He has 24.4 million subscribers, and he makes an estimated monthly earning of $1.2 million off of the YouTube channel, and a yearly estimated earning of $14.7 million on that same channel. He has uploaded 1,872 videos to YouTube in the past 12 months. So guys, that's like, oh my gosh, that's more than like one a day. That is crazy. Those videos generated 2.6 billion views and 43.8 million engagements on the platform. 10.2 billion views were generated on YouTube in the last 365 days. 6 by top late-night talk shows such as The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel Live, which we'll be talking about next. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon has generated the most views out of any late-night show, with 2.6 billion views. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon also generated almost twice the YouTube subscriber growth rate of Stephen Colbert and Kimmel in the past 12 months. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Kimmel is the most subscribed to of all the late-night show hosts, with over 20 million on YouTube. Now, let's talk about some of those other ones, because let's face it, I could talk about Jimmy Fallon all day. So we got to stop me. We got to put an end to it. Jimmy Kimmel has 2.6 million followers on Instagram and 1.9 million followers on Twitter. He has uploaded to his YouTube channel 4,640 times. He has 16.4 million subscribers, and he makes a monthly earning from the YouTube channel of just over $700,000, but a yearly earning of $8.9 million. The Late Late Show starring James Corden has 3 million followers on Instagram and 1.1 million followers on Twitter. He has uploaded 3,991 times and has a subscriber rate of 23.2 million followers. That is getting obviously very close to Jimmy Fallon, so it will be interesting to see over the next couple of years if the two go head-to-head, who has more subscribers and who really owns the digital platform of YouTube, because that is something that James Corden has come in off of the street, has never hosted a late-night show before, and has totally dominated at, is all of his Instagrams, his tweets, his YouTube videos all do exceptionally well. He doesn't put out content that doesn't do well at this point, so it really does make him stand on his own and makes him unique. He makes a monthly earning of $946.7 thousand and yearly earnings from the YouTube channel of $11.4 million. Stephen Colbert, on the other hand, is by far the most watched late-night host on TV. In the current television season, Mr. Colbert is averaging 3.1 million viewers compared to the 1.8 million that Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel both seem to share. Late Night with Seth Meyers is another late-night show, very similar time frame to Late Night with James Corden. However, Seth Meyers does seem to focus a little bit more on news, hard-hitting news, and being a little bit more of a serious journalist. Does this impact his marketing in the late-night world? Possibly, considering he only has 659,000 followers on Instagram and 452,000 followers on Twitter. That is nothing, though, compared to A Little Late with Lily Singh that has 295,000 followers on Instagram, 29.7 followers on Twitter. Now, the important thing to remember is Lily Singh has only had one season. She is starting to build up an audience, and it would have been very hard for her just to walk off the street and suddenly have this huge following that has taken these other hosts years and years to build. However, the interesting thing is, and it was something that really surprised me, is that Lily Singh already does have an audience. So why aren't they following her late night show? Why aren't they following her on Instagram and Twitter? And what is stopping them from watching her show every night? Because she is seeming to a little bit slip underneath those ratings. So people are starting to question if she will get a season 2. I, for one, obviously hope she does. I think the show's really great and definitely deserves more attention than it is getting. Finally, Stephen Colbert with his 1.4 million followers on Instagram and his 786.8 followers on Twitter. Now, Stephen Colbert is an interesting case because he is the most watched on TV. He does also put out YouTube videos. However, he is one of the only late night show hosts who does not play games or does bits or does any of that really fun, silly stuff. Not saying he doesn't get silly, but he doesn't really get fun or silly with his guests. So it is super interesting to see that he still does have that strong following, even though Seth Meyers, who is following a very similar trend, has a much smaller following. Let me know who your favorite host is down below and why you think some of these hosts might be falling in between the cracks. Okay, everyone, we are going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we will be talking about some late-night stunts that have drove media attention and gained a lot of these hosts a lot of attention. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and today's episode, it is one of my favorite topics. We are talking about late night marketing. We are talking about, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Lily Singh, Seth Meyers, all of those famous late night hosts and their talk shows that we have all been watching for years. And even if you don't currently watch them, I guarantee you have at least seen one little clip on YouTube or have heard some chatter about them at the water cooler. Of course, now, obviously, I'm talking about the virtual water cooler, since none of us have been at work now for like the past couple of weeks. So definitely something to talk about in the marketing world is how do these shows stay relevant, stay true to their brand, gain so much engagement on all of their social media platforms while still keeping up with the trends and with the times as they change. And they have been doing this for these platforms for decades now. So even if you don't host a late night show, even if you're not Jimmy Fallon, although, hey, Jimmy, if you're listening, thanks for listening. But I really think you can still learn something from these late night shows that will help your small business or your large business out. So before the break, we were talking about some stats and facts when it came to these shows, how popular they are, which shows are doing great, and which shows are maybe struggling a little bit. Now that we are back from our break, what I would love to do is talk about some late night stunts or skits or games, I guess we could call them, that have given these hosts so much engagement on their show and on their platforms. So let's start with one of my favorites, came straight from Jimmy Kimmel Live. It was Sarah Silverman's I Am Effing Matt Damon. Now, obviously, I cannot say the true stunt that was done here. I can't say the full name of it. But then again, they couldn't really say it on the show either. So what I'm talking about was a video that went viral that Sarah Silverman produced for her, at the time, boyfriend Jimmy Kimmel, that said she had been cheating on him with his worst nightmare, Matt Damon. The video has over 21 million views since being published in 2009. Jimmy Kimmel then responded with the video, I'm effing Ben Affleck, who is obviously Matt Damon's writing partner from Good Will Hunting. That video has over 14 million views since it was uploaded the following year. These videos, although they might not still be making them today, they might not still be following up with this bit, but they did gain a lot of attention for Jimmy Kimmel at the time before he ever had his big late night show that he does today. At the time, it was just a late night show, and it actually wasn't doing that well. It was on the verge of being canceled, so this really helped keep it on air and keep it relevant. And this is still a pop culture thing that people reference today, and Jimmy Kimmel has carried it on in his own way by consistently bringing back Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to continue on the joke that they all hate each other while still Jimmy Kimmel and Ben Affleck are together somehow, even when he was married to Jennifer Gardner. I'm not sure how that relationship works. I would love to know. I just don't know. Next, let's talk about Jimmy Fallon and his most famous late night bit, Lip Sync Battle. This bit became so famous on his channel that it actually got its own spin-off TV show that he is the creator of. So Lip Sync Battle is a pretty basic concept, but it is the idea that celebrities will come on, they will lip sync a song, and then Jimmy Fallon will lip sync a song after them. They will compete to see who was better at it. And it used to be very simple that the star would come up and just sing the song, lip sync the song, people would clap. And then it just started getting more and more extreme. People were bringing props, people were having surprised guests. It was just getting crazy that eventually, it did have to become its own show because it was becoming its own beast. But just for the sake of tonight, let's talk about how it affected The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. So the top 5 lip sync battles of all time on YouTube had Emma Stone with 97 million views, Ellen DeGeneres with 49 million views, Paul Rudd with 42 million views, Tom Cruise with 35 million views, and Melissa McCarthy with 33 million views. Now, I'm sure you all remember at the top of this podcast, we talked about how Jimmy Fallon gets the most views out of any other late night show host on YouTube. It's because of Lip Sync Battle. Emma Stone, 97 million views, you guys. I know 3 of those are me. So who else is watching that so much? It is crazy. But the point is that stunts like this, skits like this, and games like this are really what pushes Jimmy Fallon over the edge when it comes to his marketing and how he decides to take something that he did on air that worked for a live audience, worked for a TV audience, but then also put it on YouTube and have it something that will be evergreen so that people can come back and watch it again. The next one is James Corden's Carpool Karaoke. Carpool Karaoke really is what James Corden is currently known for. That and the other game I really love that we will talk about, which is Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. But Carpool Karaoke is sort of what made him start to become a little bit more famous and really helped push the show in a positive direction. So he has, his most popular Carpool Karaoke was with Adele with 130 million views. The first time Justin Bieber came on with 94 million views, One Direction with 85 million, Sia with 65, and Jennifer Lopez with 52. All of those are crazy numbers, especially considering nobody really knew who James Corden was when he first started making these carpool karaoke bits. And again, guys, this is a really great example of something the live audience could enjoy, the TV audience would enjoy, and the audience the next day on YouTube, which is really what they are trying to hit with all of these late night bits, is that they wanted to work on those 3 levels. Number 4, Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, also with James Corden. So for that video, it's again a very simple idea of a celebrity is coming onto the show. They will have to either answer one of his questions or eat some of the disgusting food. So some of the celebrities he has had in the most popular order was Kim Kardashian, which got him 52 million views, Kendall Jenner, which got him 46 million views, Gordon Ramsay with 42 million views, Harry Styles and Kendall Jenner, that's right, James Corden wasn't even in this one, with 30 million views, Jonas Brothers, 32 million, and Jimmy Kimmel with 24. Another really great example of something that just works on all those different levels we've been discussing and really would just help push him into a new level of engagement with his audience. Finally, we have Seth Meyers and his ongoing bit, A Closer Look. So A Closer Look, again, I said it before, but Seth Meyers really does try to focus on serious news and things that are actually impacting the world. And this is, again, just another great example of how he does that and the ongoing bits that he has that really helps push that brand. So his first one is Trump addressing the nation on the coronavirus pandemic, which got Seth Meyers 4 million views. The second, Bernie Sanders' rise prompts media meltdown, establishment panic, 3.6 million views. Markets plunge as Trump lies about the corona's response, 3.1 million views. Trump's failing response to the coronavirus outbreak with 3.1 million views. And finally, Trump keeps lying about the coronavirus outbreak with 3 million views. So one, I'm very sorry. They were all about the coronavirus. I could not stop that. These were the most recent numbers for all of them. And people right now are very into hearing about the coronavirus, as they should be. It is what's new in the world. So it makes sense that people are focusing on it heavily right now. Okay, everyone, that is it for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the GSMC Marketing News Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to any podcast app, and you'll find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, you'll find it all on the GSMC Podcast Network. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.